You know what, guys? I bet you if I was alive in 1971, if I was a teen boy and I lived in the area of Stanford University, I bet I would have been one of those kids. Like $15 a day to go in a simulated prison, I'm in. I'll sign up, man. Yeah. Oh boy. Anyway, hey there, guys. What's up? It's all about Mike 18 here. Back with another movie review. Guys, just a quick little disclaimer. I actually saw this movie this past Tuesday. I know it's like the weekend. It's days later, and I'm finally getting this review up. But the day before I saw this movie, I actually had oral mouth surgery, and I had 4 wisdom teeth removed. My face blew up, and I could barely talk, and I really couldn't even go out, even though I snuck out to go see this movie. Shh, don't tell my dentist. Anyway, that's why I couldn't film this review earlier or get it up earlier, so I apologize about that. And I still am a little swollen, actually. I was nowhere near as bad as I was the last few days. I've gotten better, thankfully. But I do apologize nevertheless and in advance for my my physical appearance and the fact that my right cheek, I look like Marlon Brando or Mike Wazowski from Monsters University when they threw the purple things at him in the first event. Whatever, you get the point. I look like I got in a fight with someone. I got knocked the hell out. But anyway, guys, yes. I'm also just not like in like the like I don't have my like usual energy. That's another thing, unfortunately. So I apologize about that. Nevertheless, I still want to get this review done. With that said, let us talk about a movie probably nobody knows about, and that is the Stanford Prison Experiment. Now, real quick, guys, I want to give a quick shout out to one of my longtime buddies. He has known me since I started my channel. He's been following me since I started my channel. Quick shout out to my man Chandler, good buddy of mine. He messaged me on Facebook a couple weeks ago and told me to check out this trailer for this movie called The Stanford Prison Experiment. Now, I hadn't heard of this movie. I didn't know anything about it before I watched this trailer. As soon as I watched the trailer, I said to myself, I'm going to see this movie. Okay, it looked great. Okay, so I immediately got hooked. And the movie was not playing anywhere very close to my house. It was like a 30-40 minute drive away in a small indie theater. So I went to a brand new theater and saw this movie. So unfortunately, I do live in New York, but if you don't live in New York or LA, you probably aren't going to get this movie in your theater for a while unless they expand it. With that said, guys, I would like to briefly get into the synopsis for the Stanford Prison Experiment. Back in 1971, we had a psychologist and several of his colleagues set up this experiment that wanted to test how humans behave or how they act in a simulated environment, specifically a prison. He wanted to study how prison guards would act in an environment as well as actual prisoners, overall the human mind in general. So in the summer of 71, the psychologist and his colleagues set up a sort of like simulated prison in the basement of Stanford University. Like they made the bars and everything and the classrooms, the cells out of classrooms and everything. They put ads all over the newspapers trying to get young teenage boys to come in and do this experiment. For 2 weeks, they would get paid $15 a day. And they end up getting 18 kids, and they split them into groups of 2. We got 9 kids that are prisoners and 9 kids that are guards. Staying in this one environment for 2 weeks. They're studying how these kids are going to react to all this. And they're not kids. They're like young teenagers, college-age teenagers. And I tell you, once things start off, they're like, all right, we're starting this experiment off. Things are going to go interesting. We can't wait to see our results. The results absolutely shocked everyone, including the psychologist and his own colleagues, the ones who are running the experiments themselves, because this becomes less and less like an actual simulated prison and more like a real prison as the days go on. And that, my friends, is all I want to say about the Stanford Prison Experiment. Now, I want to just go on record here saying that I was not a huge fan of Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. Now, I know a lot of you guys are like, Mike, why are you even bringing that up? Well, that film won the Grand Jury Award and the Audience Award at this year's Sundance Film Festival. You guys want to know another film that was nominated or up for the running? This movie right here, Stanford Prison Experiment. This was up for the running. After having seen both movies, I seriously do not know why that movie was picked over the Stanford Prison Experiment. I just had to make that known, okay? That movie is so overrated, I don't even want to get into it. Stanford Prison Experiment, guys. I'm going to be completely honest with you. This movie shocked me, okay? This is one of the most haunting, deeply disturbing, compelling, and thought-provoking movies I have seen in a very long time. It's one of the best movies of 2015 so far, and it is also one of the most messed up movies and one of the most disturbing films that you are probably going to see. I just want to throw this out there. If you are for the faint of heart and you do not like watching movies where very disgusting things happen that make you feel bad as a human being, then you probably shouldn't go watch this movie. But if you're like me and you can tolerate that stuff, and if you love watching movies, and if you love when movies have deeper meanings and when they're investigating certain things within movies, and you're there for the investigation, you can't wait to see how things unfold, go see this movie. You won't be upset. Guys, I love this movie, alright? The Stanford Prison Experiment just shocked me. Okay, this movie floored me, to be completely honest with you. I love how this movie is an ultimate test, or it deals with subject matter that is actually very important and relevant today, even though this film is set in 1971. It deals very highly with police brutality, that feeling of control, when you're in a different environment, abuse of power, and dehumanization. Okay, because it's very easy to look at this movie and compare it at points, at little aspects of it, to compare it to events of the Holocaust. Now, I'm not saying, okay, I know that's extreme. Okay, yes, the Holocaust is much more extreme. But I'm saying one of the biggest things going with the Holocaust was dehumanization. Okay, these people were desensitized. They were stripped of their humanity. And there are moments in this film where the prisoners are stripped of their very own humanity. And the Stanford Prison Experiment perfectly depicts that, in my opinion. This film really delves into the psychology of the human mind and really how weak or strong human nature is under a new environment and new circumstances. It really stresses that when we don't have control over something, or when we do have control over something, we are affected by that. And that is one of the biggest things that worked so well for me with the Stanford Prison Experiment. Apart from the fact of just how utterly shocking that the events that the things that the characters in this movie do, and I'm not just talking about the prisoners and the guards. I'm talking about like the experimenters themselves. Like the main psychologist, played by Billy Crudup in this movie. Crudup or Crudup? I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's Crudup. Billy Crudup. I can't find his name. I'm sorry for wasting your time there, guys. But yeah, that amazed me. Okay, just how far they went. And again, this film is actually relevant now. I mean, with all the things, all the police brutality and all that's been going on in the news, and all the innocent people who've been just murdered by police officers this year, I feel this film is actually very relevant to society today, and that's another one of the best things I have to praise this movie. But as I was watching this film, guys, there were two elderly ladies in my theater watching it with me, and they would not shut up the entire movie. Okay, I had a bottle of water. I wanted to throw it at them because they wouldn't shut up. I hate when people talk in movies. And I didn't want to start a fight or anything. But what they kept saying throughout the entire movie, when a very haunting thing happened in the film, they kept saying, "Oh, that's disgusting." And they were saying it out loud. I was like 4 feet away from them. And as much as they were annoying me, the entire time they were doing all that and reacting to all this out loud, I was saying to myself, wow, the director and the filmmakers really accomplished the job they set out to do. They really set out to show what this experiment was like, how it affected the people involved, and the effects of it in general. And they are disgusting, disturbing things that happen as a result of this experiment. And they infected the two elderly ladies in my theater so much they were saying out loud how disgusting it was. And that's a perfect example to just show that this movie perfectly and accurately did its job. Now, one of the best things I have to praise the Stanford Prison Experiment for is its ensemble cast of incredibly talented young actors. Two of the best performances you are going to see this year are in this movie, and they are by young actors Michael Angarano and Ezra Miller. You may remember the two of them from Sky High. Michael Angarano was in Sky High. Interesting movie from my childhood. I loved it. 2006. And Ezra Miller was most recently in The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Now, Ezra Miller plays a prisoner in this movie. Michael Angarano plays a guard. Both of these men are utterly deserving of Best Supporting Actor consideration at this year's Oscars, guys. These are two of the best performances you are going to watch all year. They are transformative. They are career best for the two of them. They are just utterly flawless, in my opinion. When Ezra Miller breaks down physically in this movie, you are going to be left just scarred. And to watch Michael Angarano turn into what everybody calls him in the movie, John Wayne, and see how ruthless he becomes, it's freaking extraordinary. I know they're not going to get Oscar love. They absolutely deserve it in my book, but I'm just going to say it here. When I make my Oscar reactions video to the nominees and they don't get nominated, I'll make it known because they're incredible in this movie. That doesn't go to be said for the rest of the cast, because the rest of the supporting cast, those are just the two highlight performances of this movie. They're incredible. The rest of this young supporting cast is great as well. We have Mud's Tye Sheridan here. We have Thomas Mann. We have Johnny Simmons. We have, oh my god, I gotta look at the list, guys. I'm sorry, but I don't want to forget any of these guys. Nicholas Braun, Keir Gilchrist, who was just recently in It Follows, and then of course Billy Crudup and Olivia Thirlby play the two colleagues, the psychologist and one of his young colleagues' former students, respectively. And again, just what these young boys go through, what the prisoner section of these boys have to go through, because they just start to get brutalized and just physically and mentally torn apart by the guards, who start to inflict this upon them as this becomes even less of an experiment and more like real life. And that's what just makes for utterly compelling and mind-blowing performances throughout this entire movie. I also would like to praise the director, Kyle Patrick Alvarez, for his direction in the film, for the way the shots looked. There are some incredible dolly shots in this movie, and he also incredibly utilized some very tight close-up shots on some characters that really were necessary when these characters were feeling uncomfortable or claustrophobic or uneasy or like very just, you know, just out of their environment and just dissatisfied with themselves and the situation they're in. And he utilizes those shots so perfectly just when we need them at the right moments. And that evokes the feelings into the audience, because I started to feel claustrophobic. I started to feel uneasy and uncomfortable as I was watching what was being done to these boys. And just the use of these close-ups, sorry for stuttering there, is just unbelievable in my opinion. Props to him. Props to the guy who wrote the screenplay. The dialogue is extraordinary. It's riveting. It's compelling. The themes of this movie, the themes of human nature and the human spirit, how much it could undergo. You know, the big question of what is real, what is not real to people who become involved into something for so long. And it's I kid you not, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the results at the end of this experiment will blow your mind. Guys, this is one of the best movies of the year. It's twisted, it's dark, it's haunting. It has two of the best supporting actor performances of the year in Ezra Miller and Michael Angarano. The rest of the supporting cast is flawless as well. Guys, I cannot recommend this movie to you enough. The final 15 minutes of this movie will leave you feeling utterly disgusted, dark, and just completely beside yourself. You will just feel completely dehumanized, as the boys are in this movie. And for that reason alone, I'm going to give this completely just dark and twisted psychological drama a solid grade of a 9.25 out of 10 or an A-. I love this movie, guys. It's one of my favorites of the year. If I had to complain about one thing, I feel things started to fall apart a little bit in the end with some video footage that was spliced into the final 10 minutes. Other than that, but right before that, like the final 15 minutes as a whole, my mind was blown. Okay, guys? So if this movie does come to a theater near you, please seek it out. Please go see this movie if you can. It is really good. I highly recommend you guys check it out. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it, guys. And if you have seen the movie, let me know what you thought of it down below. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.